Buddha's real life and how and why media misusing that great character. It can represent the character of Buddhas who lived in the past and is revered by the majority of the world's people. But even though the Buddha preached the Dharma, it seems that there is no critical and scientific comparison between Buddha's teachings in today's society. In other words, even though the Dharma preached by him was sung as mantras and its meaning was introduced, it is a clear fact in today's society that people have not clearly attributed the content to his life. I will explain the reasons for it with examples, but before that, let us scientifically identify the character of Buddha. In this introduction, I will only take Sri Lanka as an example because I am a Sri Lankan and live there. So I have a deep knowledge of how Sri Lankans understand the character of Buddha. Let's talk about how they have used the character of Buddha for businesses and how the people living in the society miss the real word of Buddha. First of all, let's get an understanding of Buddha's path to Buddhahood. In other words, the Buddha passed through a large number of souls to obtain Buddhahood and received knowledge about each of the phenomena of each of those souls. The knowledge gained in those great souls was developed in the soul that was destined to receive the final soul, Buddhahood. The Buddha used the Vedas written by Ganesha and sage Vyasa to develop this mind and explore the past souls. And Prince Siddhuhat studied the Vedas which were disappearing in India at that time, and he started very deeply to meditate to improve the mind. After that, gradually he strained his mind to understand nature as a meditative yogi. Then gradually he explored the natural theory that produced his body. Having gained a complete understanding of the body, he began to control the particles produced by his body with his mind. That is, he was able to break his entire body into particles and move only his mind to any place he wanted. And he was able to create a body in the place that his mind has traveled by collecting the necessary particles to produce a body in the atmosphere of that place. To the common people of that time, this was a magic and it was not a boon from anyone like Brahma, Shiva or Vishnu. That ability gained from meditating by Buddha as King Ravana or Prince Meghanada. Because at that time there was not a large number of people studying the Dharma in India and there was only a small amount of them. The small groups did their research alone, and the Buddha gathered all the knowledge about each field that was scattered among the group of small teachers, and went near them to gain spiritually and learn the Dharma from them. That is, he did not hesitate to leave his dignity and go in front of any person to get the necessary knowledge. Without this flexibility, he would not have been able to attain Buddhahood. This is the journey of Buddha's character, and let's analyze some important events that happened during it. You may remember the time spent by the Buddha in fasting during the time when he was searching for the Dharma by performing difficult actions. There was a time when he gave up eating food, and about that time a great myth has been socialized by the people who are present and who have accepted the character of Buddha. In other words, he did not eat and was searching for the truth by torturing his body. It is completely false. The real truth is that is something that Buddha, who gave up eating meat, understood while exploring nature. That is, he understood that a plant looks like a plant food, but its interior is made up of a very large number of microscopic organisms. Therefore, he was decided that Eating meat as well as plant food is inappropriate because it is also contains meat, and the consumption of plant food was stopped. But with the passage of time, he realized that food is essential for the search for truth. That is, without food, the body doesn't get the energy needed to control the mind. And without body energy, it is impossible to attain Buddhahood or even maintain life, and started consuming food again. It is a case of not understanding the true nature of Buddha's character. There are many instances where the character of Buddha has been embarrassed. The main problem I see as the reason for this is that the successors who came after the Buddha have tried to socialize him with excessive respect instead of understanding his teachings. I know there are people who can really understand this statement, but many people will try to contradict this statement. The only way to understand this fact is look at the doctrine with open eyes. Without criticizing your religion, you will only be running after an unknown and unfulfilled truth. I will give a recent example of this in Sri Lanka. You will understand this fact by comparing the example given earlier and the example given now. A strange argument is being made by a group of people living in Sri Lanka recently, and it is being worked on by delegation. The reason for that is because of their passion to politics and the benefits they get from it. It is said by them that is Buddha was born in Sri Lanka, and to win that right they should line up as Buddhist. It is unfortunate that the majority of the people who are making huge sacrifices like this are people who use alcohol, drugs, etc. They know very well that in order to get acceptance from the society, it is only necessary to show interest in religion. Speaking fluently in the current society, his words have been accepted regardless of his actions. It is a very important thing in a society that is going downhill. I am completely against this statement because the people who are making this statement are people who do not even know a little about the truth of religion or dharma. Their main aim is to go and protest in front of the Indian High Commissioner's office in Sri Lanka, demanding the ownership and right of Buddha. As a true Buddhist and someone who has some doubts about Buddhism, the question I raise is that what is the spiritual progress you get by saying that the Buddha was born in Sri Lanka, and if the Buddha is alive today, what is the advice given to people who do so? Another thing that these people don't want to accept is that Buddha learned the Sanatana Dharma or Vedas in India. Some Buddhists thinking they knows everything about better than the Buddha. As a Sri Lankan and real Buddhist, I do not see the monks of Sri Lanka desecrating the true religion to the people. Their desire is to develop their temples, get a vehicle for their use and strengthen the economy of their family members and get a good name from politicians. They are also running after the wealth in their bank accounts and get a fund from that money. If you investigate, you will realize that 99% of the monks' main aim is those things. Let's find out how the media organizations of Sri Lanka work as a main helper and the benefits that these organizations get from politics for this disaster. On December 26, 2023, a program was organized by a Sri Lankan media network at the Dambadini Rajamaha temple, and the people who organized the program closed the temple premises to the general public. When I asked a representative of the organizing committee in that media about the ban of entry to premises, he gave me a very stupid and funny answer about it. That is, when this program is being broadcasting, people watching the program from home on their television channel will not understand the Dharma as People walk behind the scene. Yes, it is true. If that happens, the person who listens to the Dharma on television at home will feel like want to go temples. If that happens, they fail as a media company because instead of watching their channel, they go to temples to understand the Dharma, and then the number of views on their channel decreases. Look at his wild attempt, whether it is to bring two Buddhists to the temple and create an opportunity to display the Dharma, or to close the temples and ban the people who come to worship the temple for the sake of the publicity of his channel. Television channels may be idiots, but the leaders of the temple are just as stupid. How can politics benefit from this? People who watch programs on television without going to religious places watch half of the program and do not desecrate the true religion or dharma, and they hang around the society as unrighteous people. It is highlighted the need for a government. That is, people who do not behave religiously create various problems in the society and raise the need for politics, thereby deceiving people. Should not we stop this process? If not, what will happen to our future generations? This is a carnage that must be stopped immediately. It is your duty to understand that what people who claim to love the country are doing is a lie and bad for the country, because you must fulfill your duties for the future generations. Otherwise, it will not be at a lower level than you are today. It is your ignorance not be resist the mistakes that are happening in front of you today and to make the mistakes that happened in the past.
Please subscribe our channel, Project Salon, and thank you very much for your appreciation.